Hi, it's me, D.Walker. Just wanted to share a video about some of the learnings I've experienced in my own healing journey. Um, I've suffered multiple head injuries back in 2005-6. I had 6 head injuries within 12 months. Diagnosed with post-concussion syndrome and ended up losing, I'd say, a lot of my life in terms of wealth, relationships. My health suffered, and just general happiness. Then in 2018, I've had a number of head injuries since 2005-6 that have set back my health and set back my career. And then in 2018, October 2018, I was diagnosed with colorectal cancer. Um, since then, it's been a very focused effort on learning about me, I guess. And one of the key things I learned, and my belief is that a lot of our chronic illnesses come from suppressed emotions. Certainly, if you read a bit broader than just the conventional medical doctrine or the books, there's a lot of belief around your emotions for colorectal cancer being suppressed and holding on to a lot of anger and resentment. And I, based on my experience of both sides, I would actually say I agree. And the reason why I agree is that this is what I've learned since going through this health journey. I've learned that um, I've been pretending that I had life figured out. I was a successful accountant, I was in the corporate world, and I was making good money and traveling the world. On the outside, perceived to have a successful life. And even people I've shared my little story with my health situation and my emotional realizations didn't recognise I was going through quite so much pain or unhappiness as they thought. They thought I was healthy and happy. But what I was pretending in my life was that I had it all together, and that's kind of goes in keeping with the professional world. You've got to be perceived to be confident in having things figured out and knowing the answers, but in reality I didn't. In reality, most of the time through my career, I probably was afraid of being found out not knowing anything. And that's, I would say, I spent most of my career at that point. The challenge with that, or the impact of doing something like that in my own life, it might seem like a small thing, but it's not, it's huge. What it meant for me was if I walked around perceiving that I had it all together and wanted other people to see that in me, I would never ask them questions that might show that I don't have the answers. Therefore, my ability to learn was taken away from me by myself. What it also meant was I could never admit that I had weakness in an area. I had lots of weaknesses, I knew it, but I certainly wouldn't want to show it to anybody. What it meant, though, is that when I'm working, I was never going to be that effective in my career because I wouldn't go and ask people questions that I felt uncomfortable with. Another aspect of that, I was never able to express fully what was going on with me because I was perceiving that people would think I would be weak or ineffective if I didn't have the answers. So in reality, I didn't have any answers, and it held me back. I'm sure I could have been promoted faster, I could have worked better and more diligently and been happier in my job if I'd have been willing to acknowledge that I didn't have the answers and I could seek help from people that do have the answers. So anyway, what that's left me with is that in my situation, I wasn't able to express fully what was going on inside of me to anybody, even to relationships, intimate, close relationships. I held back because I didn't want them to see that I didn't know what I was doing, or didn't know what I was about, or didn't know I didn't have all the answers. I was the man, I was meant to have all the answers. So I held back in relationships, which meant that I always felt a distance between people, even though I had strong attraction and strong love for people. I couldn't express that. I certainly couldn't show it because I didn't know how to show it for myself. With the anger and resentment, how that shows up is that because I was too scared to share with people, I was being inauthentic. When things didn't make sense to me, I wouldn't ask them what was going on. When when I was seeing a situation play out in front of me, instead of going, hey, I don't understand what's going on here, can you explain it to me, I'd bottle it in, I'd hold on to it. And so, as you know, when you bottle something up, after a while it's going to fester. And that's what happened inside of me, is all these negative emotions and anger and resentment in my life festered inside of me, and I believe that's what's contributed to my health situation. So over the time since my diagnosis, it's now November 2019, I've had a lot of time to examine where I've held myself back and not been authentic. What it has allowed to open up for me is healing, emotional healing, which I think is very important to anybody on a health journey. It's allowed me to find new possibilities that are out there for me. Now, I'm probably more effective than I've ever been in terms of trying to do stuff. What I mean by that is that I'm willing to ask people when I don't know, instead of judging myself and making myself wrong or anybody else wrong. I'm more willing to ask a question and find out what the answer is. Nobody knows all the answers, and I've also found that in order to be healthy and happy, you have to have community. The way I was living my life would keep people away. I never had community, and that's been a realization over the last 12 months. I've got my immediate family, and I love them, and they love me, and they've been very, very supportive, and I've got some close friends that have been very supportive. I don't really have a big network of people around me, and that's my own doing, because of the way I perceived the world and the way I acted. Like I held the answers, and you can't help me. It keeps people away because there's no room for them to come in, and it makes them feel not very good, and over the long term it makes me not feel very good, certainly not healthy. So that's the biggest realization I've had, is that the way we perceive the world, or the way I perceive the world, has affected the way I've lived my life and lived in the world. A situation, because I feel like I've got to have all the answers, a situation I've got to stand up and be dictatorial in some regards and say this is what needs to happen, and I'm not taking into account anybody else's emotions or being compassionate to what their needs are. So anyway, that's the impact. It's quite a negative impact, the way I look at my life now, of the way I've lived my life, perceiving that I had it all figured out when in fact I didn't, and in fact I was just scared that I've seemed to be dumb, scared that people would think less of me, scared that I just would never be successful in my life. And when I got diagnosed, I pretty much said that I was unsuccessful. I had lived life and done a lot of things. I've travelled and had a good career, but at the end of the day I sat there, I was empty. I didn't know how to live my life. All my relationships, I either knocked them over or they didn't work. And it's probably a lot to do with me rather than the other person. My career, I couldn't hold down a job, one because of the physical limitations that came about as a result of the injuries, but you're never going to get anywhere if you know all the answers, or if you perceive you know all the answers and are too scared to ask anybody. So I was never going to be that effective in my job. People say to me that I was effective in my job, and I certainly had the career that showed that I was effective, but I could have been more effective if I just asked questions instead of acting like I knew everything. So yeah, when I got diagnosed, I didn't have any clues. My relationship fell over. I had to quit my job because I couldn't sustain it. I had to look at what was causing this illness inside of me, because if it's in my body, I've put it there. And there's lots of work around that will support that conclusion. Work by Dr. Joe Dispenza and Dr. Bruce Lipton that supports that our emotional state affects so much of our health. So anyway, this video is about sharing this inauthenticity that brings ill health to our bodies, and encouraging you to just reassess where you are in the world, how you perceive the world, what you're trying to hide. I've still got lots of things I'm working through in that regards, but it's an important aspect of getting through any health situation that's a scare. There has to be an honest look at your own life about where you're being inauthentic in terms of not being true to who you are. The key thing from my healing journey out of all this stuff, all the videos I talk about and share with people, if you're not authentic with yourself and living the life that's right for you, you're not going to be healthy, you're not going to be happy. Simple as that. I've lived a life of not being terribly healthy and not being terribly happy, all as a result of not being authentic to myself and doing what I need to do. So if you aren't happy and if you aren't healthy, have a look inside and see what's going on there, and just see if there's any areas that you could work on to just see how you could change those. And there's lots of different information and resources out there you can have a look at. The two doctors I've just mentioned are very important and can help you see a different way. So anyway, the possibilities for me in that regards is that I've got the ability to be aware of when I'm doing stuff that's not healthy for me, or I'm being inauthentic with myself, and changing my responses and reactions in that moment, which means I get to be happier. And if you've ever had a diagnosis or something that shortens your life, or you think shortened your life, being happy is a very important thing. So it's more important than we think. So anyway, that's my message for today. I hope it made sense, and be well. Ka kite. Bye bye.